Step up to the Oki and win on talkSPORT.
We're closing in on the talkSPORT Darts Presenter Trophy 2025, now in its third year, where 8 of talkSPORT's biggest names go head-to-head ahead of the PDC World Darts Championship kickoff. And this year, you and a mate could be right there with us. You'll be the only members of the public allowed in on Wednesday, 10th of December in London. 2 seats, 2 insider passes, a true money can't buy experience for the ultimate talkSPORT fan. And the very next day, you'll also both be heading to the opening day at the PDC World Darts Championship. Plus, 2 nights hotel stay and a massive £2,500 in cash. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Texts cost £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 4 p.m. next Thursday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Okay, let's hear from Ben Stokes. We've been talking about when have you been angrier than you were at about, 5:30 in the morning on Saturday, last Saturday, when England threw away a golden opportunity to win that first test in Perth, actually win a test in Perth and go 1-0 up in the Ashes. Ben Stokes, now it was, essentially England haven't done much for 7 days, but they fronted up to the media on Saturday. Marcus Trescothick, one of the coaches, was down to speak, but I think Ben Stokes realised he kind of read the room and thought, I need to take ownership here. So he fronted up and spoke to the press and says he understands the frustration from the England fans, but has urged them to stick with them as they look to level the series in Brisbane.
It's a results-based job that we're in. We love our fans. We know we've got an incredible fan base who come out here and support us, and they want to see us win. We want to win. We're absolutely desperate. They're absolutely desperate. So in terms of, that wavelength, we're all on the same wavelength. But we know that there'll be a lot of disappointed fans in England after that first defeat, but it's a 5-game series. We've got 4 games to go. We've lost the first one. We're absolutely desperate to come home with that goal before we even started the series, which is to win the Ashes. And we'll be doing absolutely everything within our powers and using our time as best to allow us to go out there to try and achieve that goal.
That's a big difference between 2006, Goughy, because back in Adelaide, that was the second test of the Ashes. England had already lost at the Gabba, and in throwing away that game, they essentially went 2-0 down with 3 to play. And, they're coming up against one of the great Australian sides. Shane Warne was still playing. Glenn McGrath was still playing. Ricky Ponting was captaining. Hayden Langer. We all know the names. Gilchrist was in there as well. And you just knew that was it. That was their chance. But England have kind of been here before. They also threw away a golden opportunity at Edgbaston in 2023. They then went to Lords and they were 190 for 2. And they managed to kind of not quite throw that one away, because Australia did post a pretty decent first innings score. But, they went 2-0 down in that series. And if not for the rain in Manchester, they could have won that series 3-2. So, it's a very different feeling after that first Test defeat than what we kind of were experiencing in 2023.
But the worry is, John, and I think we got to say this as well, because when we all did our predictions, we all talked about the importance of that first
We
Test.
did, yeah.
There is no Cummins, and I said from the start again, he ain't going to play the first two. All these people said, "Oh, he's bowling full pelt. Look at him in the nets." But he ain't going to play the first two.
You were quite strong on that.
Yeah, Hazelwood's
because
out.
most of us thought he was going to play the second one, right?
Not playing the first two. Coming back from that injury, you have to be sure. You have to do the right amount of overs. You get the overs under your belt. It's a bit different to Mark Wood, got injured, hamstring, played in Perth, now knee. I would never have had him in it anyway for the next game anyway. But I think the importance of, go back to Perth. The importance of that game, with everything that was on the line, with the players that were missing for Australia, I think was vital. And the worry for us all, we all went with our predictions, was if we got battered in that one, the second Test match at Brisbane, which is coming up, is just a bit of a lottery.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a lottery, and it does come down to the toss of the coin. It does come down to when you're going to be batting against a swinging pink ball, because it does swing. It does swing more. And Stark, we thought bowled well in Perth. His record with a pink ball is out of this world. I mean, it's amazing, his record with a pink ball. So there is obviously a concern. And if you go 2-0 down, it's the blinkers are on then, anyway, because anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. See, the thing is, if they'd won in Perth, then essentially you could have just approached
It's a freebie.
A little bit.
It's a freebie because you get on the right end of the toss, you play good cricket, and you do the skills right, you could be 2-0 up.
Actually, that's the one where Bazball makes more sense than any other.
Absolutely.
The idea that now you have to kind of go back to basics and play with a straight bat and don't drive and kind of, well, if you're playing in a day-night test, you can't really do that. You've just got to go for it. But England are going to be under so much pressure. Charlie's got in contact with us here at talkSPORT. He says, "Hi, lads. Where do you start with that first Test? After completely bamboozling my body clock," I know that feeling, by the way.
Yeah.
The only good thing from that Test match was I could turn off my alarm, which was going off at 1:20 in the morning. After completely bamboozling my body clock in order to stay up through the evening, I was as furious as I have ever been at anything in life.
I think that's what it is. I think it's getting up to watch it, the excitement, the build-up for this. It's a huge series, right? And everybody's looking forward to it. And we all go up that first day. I mean, I was non-stop on social media that first day. And I went in early on Australian fans, right? And did I get it back the next day two? I went quiet I went missing for about 3 or 4 hours. But it was right. The way we played that first day, the way we come back after getting skittled, which was disappointing, the way we bowled for 2 hours was as good as I've ever seen.
Oh, mate.
But then from then on, what happened?
Well, this is what he said. I don't think anybody would have been surprised with an England loss in Perth. Correct. But the mad half an hour where we lose Duckett, Root, Pope and Brooke was completely bizarre and shows a lack of discipline in the side. But hey, that's Bazball, and the benefit of Bazball is when it works, it can completely pulverise any side on any pitch.
Well, Trav Ball was better than Bazball.
Well, it was a bit, wasn't it? And that's the other thing. Jared Kimber, we might hear from this a bit later, actually. He said, there's a lot of talk about how great Mitchell Starc is in pink ball test matches. Rightly so. But have you looked at the record of Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne in pink ball test matches? It's up there. And when you factor in, Jamie Smith has never played in a pink ball match. I mean, that actually is frightening, isn't it? Because reading Sir Alistair Cook in the Times this week, he's saying, it is as different as night and day. He's saying, look, when you're batting against a red ball, you use the seam to essentially give you some kind of clue about which way the ball's going to go. He says, if you can't see the seam because it's not as easy to pick up, you're basically guessing.
And it's plain, and that's why I slightly disagree with you when you said, Bazball, it could be the way to play in day-night tests. I think sometimes the best way to defend is to attack. I get that. And I think if we get into a position, that's one of the things England try to do. They try and change momentum.
Yeah.
That's one thing they do. But suddenly the pitch, you win the toss and bat, right? Which I think whoever wins the toss will probably bat.
Yeah.
Right? you're going along, you get to tea or whatever, whenever it gets dark, 4 hours into the game, 3 hours into the game? I can't remember.
It's
Right.
midway point of the
Right.
afternoon session,
So-
the middle session.
So you could be 150 for 3, right?
Yeah.
Right, 150
Take
for
that.
3 with a bit of luck. We'd have took it in the first day.
Yeah.
I said at lunchtime I'd have took that
Yeah.
on the first day, but I wasn't expecting to happen what did happen. And 100 for 1 in the second innings
Yeah.
lead. So you get to that, and then suddenly you played, it's flat, it's doing nothing, and then suddenly the ball starts swinging all around corners. I mean, you've got to change the way you play. It all tells you, the stats will tell you've got to change the way you play. Because you could go, you lose 1 wicket, it goes bang, 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 bang. And that's been England's biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
The format they play in, Bazball, I know he hates it, but I don't think he does because I think he likes his brand, Bazball. I think he does like it. I totally disagree when he says he doesn't like that word. I think he loves it. But if you keep trying to play that, it's good if you're not losing wickets. But when you lose one and you get a new player in, you can't keep going at these bowlers because they're good bowlers. Both teams have got good bowlers. You're going to lose wickets. You're going to lose wickets.
We shall see. Look, plenty of people getting in contact with us here at talkSPORT. We're going to be continuing through until 11 o'clock. This is Goughy's Ashes on talkSPORT. And we've got plenty to come here on the show. listening to Goughy's Ashes with myself, John Norman, and the main man, Darren Gough. Let's hear now, though, from another person who's been part of our talkSPORT cricket family over the last couple of years. Former England wicketkeeper Matt Pryor, man who's won an Ashes in Australia, and there's not many that can say that. He was on with Benty and Goldstein on Friday, and he had his say on England's preparations for the pink ball test.
I don't want to be the washed up old pro that's kind of now saying, oh, the boys should be in the nets every minute of the day. But how they aren't sending, even a few of their batters to go and have an opportunity to bat under lights in a match against a pink ball when you've got a pink ball test coming out, it sort of beggars belief, particularly off the back of the last game. Even if they played 3 or 4 days, you think, okay, well, they need a bit of time, downtime, out the bubble, etc., etc. But they've had plenty of rest, plenty of that. Unfortunately, I would be amazed that some of the batters didn't want to go play in the match, because look, you can net, right, and they will be netting. They will be out there under lights at night against the pink ball. It's not as if they're going to walk out there and not having had faced the pink ball at all. But playing in a match, in match conditions, that's a great opportunity, and I think it's one they've missed.
Well, there you go. Just to counter that slightly, because you're of the opinion, you spoke a few moments ago about the fact that actually you think it's probably the right decision. A one-size-fits-all approach to any team doesn't always work. And I just wonder whether maybe there were a couple of players in that side who thought to themselves, actually, I could do with Jamie Smith, for instance.
Well, they've got to speak up. They've got to speak up. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, a good dressing room is where individuals can speak up and say what they want. And if they really wanted to play, I'm sure they could have gone and played. And I think that would have been my thing. But when you look at the way the game went, Australia batted first, right? They batted right till the end, and then they batted for 8 overs. England under lights. That's all they batted for. And then the next day, it was a day game again, wasn't it? That's what happened. Yeah. And then they knocked them off.
It's almost impossible to replicate the
and it's totally different conditions. Canberra, I've played in Canberra, and I've also played in Brisbane. They are totally different. It's like Tasmania, as I said to you. We're going from Tasmania to Brisbane. It's totally different feel. Everything about it, bowling, batting. So the guys, the more you think about it, the anger in you tells you they should have all played. The bowlers should have played. They hardly bowled any overs. Mark Wood, what did he bowl? 11?
11 overs, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's out. We haven't even spoken about that. There's a few comments wondering whether Mark Wood injured himself on the drive from Perth to Brisbane, because he gave a comment that said, because he's a nervous flyer, right?
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, look, if I can drive around, I would. But then someone pointed out it would probably take him about 2 days to get there. Kroon says on the talkSPORT cricket YouTube channel chat facility, Smith could have gone to the pink ball game having not played a pink ball match before. But then your point is, well, if he wanted to play and if he thought it was a problem, he should have just said, I want to go and play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure they're encouraged. I think that the culture within that side and the management is allow guys to speak up and everybody have their two penneth. But obviously none of them wanted to. They wanted to go to Brisbane, stick together as a team, win together, lose together. And to split them up, I know 3 of them who didn't play went and played, which I think, again, probably the right decision, because they had no game whatsoever. And they probably have got a decision to make which one of the bowlers possibly comes in for Brisbane. So
Who do you think?
I had nothing wrong with Potts going and having a ball. What I would have wanted, I think, before the teams were selected, I thought Woakes would have been selected purely for the day-night test.
So you would have brought Chris Woakes out?
100% I would have had him there. Unlucky for Potts, but I think I would have had Woakes there, who can bat, and he's proven, and time again, in those sort of conditions with a swinging and seaming ball, there's no one better. There's absolutely no one better with a swinging and seaming ball who could still play it. Probably Anderson, right? But you're not going to take a 43-year-old or whatever he is, 42. Chris Woakes can still bowl. I would have took him purely for that one test. He would have played that one test.
Yeah.
And I never had Wood down to play in Brisbane anyway. I had him in Perth. I had him in Adelaide. That's why I had him down to play Woody.
But there is no Chris Woakes. Matt Potts is in Tasmania, so who comes in for Mark Wood? Josh Tongue?
Well, yeah, I think Tongue's the obvious one. But if they want to go for somebody who does swing the ball, it is Potts. He's the replacement for Wokes. Let's be straight about this. Tongue was already in the side. So the replacement for Wokes, they've gone down the Potts route instead. So again, if they want somebody who's different, like a Boland, and we've proven but slightly slower, pitch it up, swing the ball. There are an handful in Australia conditions, especially with a pink ball. Potts, out of all of them, is probably the most skillful with ball in hand at swinging the ball, right? That's what I would say. So for that one game, again, Potts could be an handful, but it'll be interesting. I think they'll probably will go Tongue.
Andrew gets in contact here at talkSPORT, Andrew Lee Wilding. He says, "Hi lads, England need to learn from how South Africa play Test cricket. Absolutely trounced India in India." Now,
Well, there's a difference in that.
there's a few.
They're missing the fact, but they've got two world-class spinners in Harmer and Maharaj, who could, when you go to India, and they could play on a seaming pitch, and they've got quality seamers. Jansen's record is ridiculous. Rabada is ridiculous. He's high quality. And then when you have two spinners who know they can bowl out the opposition in spin-friendly conditions, you're in the game, aren't you? When England have gone there with two spinners who are quality, they have a good chance of winning. It's not often that happens. It happened with Panesar and Swan, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Right? But so in South Africa, when you've got those two spinners and seamers and batters who dig in.
Yeah, we don't really
Difference.
have that, do we?
No.
Temba Bavuma.
Yeah, Bavuma, but I think Bavuma's proved us so many people wrong, hasn't he? Over the years?
Absolutely.
He averages 38 in Test cricket.
Do you know that-
Test matches?
Do you know he's unbeaten as captain?
Yeah, what is it?
11
wins.
wins out of 12.
Yeah.
That is
One draw.
ridiculous.
It is, and I think a lot of people thought he was the weak link within
Yeah.
that side, and he gets so much stick from players from around.
Right.
Players are all around the world. Let's be honest. They're saying other players should be in there, but I think now he's proven his Test record. I think is pretty sharp.
His Test record over the last 2 or 3 years
Since he's been
is
skipper.
up there. 50, I think he averages. We got a caller. Ryan, a Chelsea fan, is getting in contact with us here at talkSPORT on Goughy's Ashes. Ryan, what do you have to say? Welcome to the show.
Hello, gents. Are you both well?
Yeah,
we're all
we're
right, mate.
good. We've recovered, kind of. The second half of the show, we'll be a bit more optimistic about England's chances, I reckon.
You've always got to be optimistic.
I understand Goughy talking about Wokesy going over. We done it years ago with Brody, and you cannot be bowling 75, 80 mile an hour out there. It just does not happen. You're not going to take Wokesy out there just for one test. It's just not going to happen.
He doesn't bowl 75 miles an hour. He bowls 80, 82, 83.
80, but you know what the crack is out there. You've been there and you've done it. You're not going to be able to do anything with 80 mile an hour out there.
Well, Boland is. Boland's averaging about 11 in Test cricket in Australia.
But he bowls over there. Like he hits a deck. He's not there just
Well,
to
Wokesy
bring the
does.
ball around.
Wokesy's quality. Have you seen Wokesy bowl in English conditions? Australia's not like it used to be, in the 90s, flat. Have you seen it lately, the last 2 years? Look at the record of all the bowlers that go over there. It's going all over the shop.
With Starkey, Hazelwood, Cummins.
Well, India's bowlers did all right last year on it. South Africa's bowlers have done all right in it as well over there.
But all of them bowl at least 6 or 7 mile an hour quicker. Like I get what you're saying with moving the ball about, but you're not going to bring them over just for one test.
Ryan, are you? How furious were you last weekend?
To be fair, after the first day, I was even.
Yeah.
Then I was just hoping I'd wake up. So I'll work. Wake up next morning, England are 300 for 3. And then I got a message from a mate saying all over.
It's gutting, wasn't it? It was gutting, mate. I mean, I was watching it. I was in constant. I watched it with my sons. They came over and watched it with me, and we were all in the same boat. We were like so optimistic on day 2, especially when we got to lunch with that lead. I thought, we've absolutely gone and done it here. We've absolutely got off to a series flyer. All the talk was England are going to be over the moon. It's in Perth and not Brisbane. And then 4 hours later, it's finished. The game's done.
Have a lead of 60, 9 down, get the last bloke out. Here, boys, go on, go and get us 250, have a lead of 300. And then, I'm going back, painting, decorating next morning, wake up, all over, 1-0, that's it.
Well, a friend of mine woke up on the sofa and he was messaging me. I was like, what are you doing up? It was like, 20 past 3. And anyway, stayed up and watched until lunch. And then he was like, right, I'm going to bed. And they were 100 for 1.
That's what I'm saying.
And he said when he woke up in the morning, he was looking at the scorecard and he could not work it out. He was like, how on earth has that happened in my 5 hours sleep?
And that's where the anger's come from. And that's why there's been a lot of disappointment. And I get it. Listen, if anybody's supposed to be angry, I would say it's going to be Australian Cricket Board and the Perth itself. I mean, they've lost out on 3 days' income. Millions.
Do you know what?
Millions of dollars. See all the food.
You know the guy? I know they had to give it all away to charity. Big thanks to Ryan. If you do want to get in contact with us, do so. 03717 223344. What is the angriest you have ever been at a sporting encounter? It doesn't just have to be cricket. It can be anything. Because there's a lot of England cricket fans in the last week who are as angry as they have ever been. You remember how one-day cricket started? It was back in the 70s.
The game finished, Illingworth.
Right?
Illingworth.
And they were like, was it been rain for 3 days? And then they were like, well, look.
Had 2 one-day games, didn't they?
That's what the chief exec at Perth said they should have done. He says, come on, they're here.
Can you imagine the modern-day player saying, yes, let's play another game of cricket just to please the fans?
They should do.
They were never going to do that. The modern-day player, not a chance.
Well, we'll see. You're listening to Goughy's Ashes, myself, John Norman, Darren Gough, the main man. We're here until 11. What's the angriest you've ever been at a sporting encounter? Get in contact here. We've got plenty more to come on the show. Dale Steyn. We're going to be crossing to Australia as well. Thanks for listening to the show. We will be back very shortly. You're listening to Goughy's Ashes here on talkSPORT. What's the angriest you've ever been at a sporting encounter? Let us know. England gearing up for the one and only pink ball test of the Ashes and ahead of the second test at the Gabba on Thursday. England former captain Joe Root and Australian batter Travis Head were asked if they're in favour of day-night test cricket.
It does add things. It's obviously very successful and very popular here, and obviously Australia have got a very good record here as well. So you can see why we're playing one of those games, and a series like this, does it need it? I don't think so, but it doesn't mean that it's shouldn't be it either.
Pink ball, white ball, red ball, who really cares? It doesn't need it, does it not? It's a great spectacle. We're going to have huge crowds again. Yeah, look forward to the week, and look, if you win, you think it's great, and if you lose, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not sure Joe Root was quite saying that. It was just saying that if essentially the point of pink ball cricket was to bring the crowds in, and Joe's saying, well, the crowds are coming anyway. But it does give Australia an advantage without wanting to sound like a whinging pom. But we don't play it in this country, and one of the reasons
that's our fault.
Yeah, but we don't. The reason we don't play it in this country is it doesn't get dark in the summer until 9:30, 10. So it's still not day-night cricket. Or it's night time for about 4 overs or something stupid. So it does give them an advantage. They play it every year. We never play it. We never play it at home. We played one test back in 2017 against the West Indies, and Jason Holder was bowling spin took the second new ball, and then within 4 overs he threw it to the spinners. And it was too cold, and everyone disappeared. So it does not work in this country. We don't play it, and yet then when we go to Australia, we have to play it.
Yeah, well, every team that goes to Australia tends to play it. I mean, it suited the West Indies last year. It was the
they did, yeah. Shamar Joseph, wasn't it?
Mate, he was on fire. I mean, did you see the swing he got? I think he got 10 wickets in the game, didn't he?
Yeah, and
it was amazing. So
you got
get
Brian
the
Lara
ball
in tears watching on.
Absolutely, you get the ball in the right areas and pitch it up. You can see that it's going to swing. You're in the game, and that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what pace you ball. No matter what pace you ball, if you put the ball in the right areas, get the players driving, tempting deliveries, even the best nick off. The player. If the ball's moving around, the best players nick off. Ricky Ponting nicked off plenty of times. He got plenty of hundreds, but he also nicked off plenty of times, as well. And same as Labuschagne, same as Smith. These guys nick the ball. And if we get the ball in the right areas, don't matter what speed you're bowling at, you've got a chance, especially with a pink ball. And that was my theory on, I always thought Chris Woakes was going to go and definitely play in that test match. If he only played one, that would have been it. I've said many times, Woody, if he's fit, will only play 2 tests, right? That's where I think, unless he's firing on all cylinders and he's 100% fit, my body's a temple and whatever, and he could probably play 3 max, no more than 3. Archer plays 3, I'll be over the moon. He could play 4 if we're in a winning position, but again, we've got to see how his body's reacting. So England have had to take a bigger squad than they normally would, purely because of the injuries our bowlers have had over the years and managing Stokes' workload as well.
How impressed were you by Jofra Archer, and what does the thought of watching him bowl in this test match, what does that say to you?
He's a diamond, isn't he? I mean, that first innings, the way he bowled with Gus Atkinson was high quality. That's as good as it gets. And then Carty came in, I thought, did well as well. And then Stokes, he cleaned up like he always does, gets him caught all over the shop, and just got a golden arm, right? And that's why I had him to be leading wicket taker in the series.
You did.
At the start.
You did.
But I think the only thing that will go against Stokes is how many overs he does bowl throughout a game. But when he does come on, he makes things happen. But Archer, that first innings was outstanding. Second innings, I thought he bowled average. I really did. I just didn't think he got it right in the second innings. I think the tactics and everything about it were probably all wrong.
Stokes came out and said he got his tactics
wrong. I think when you talk about getting the ball in the right areas, it is very difficult when one player is taking you apart. But again, the law of averages tells you if you put the ball in the right areas, they're going to nick off. When he's playing like that, he's going to hit one up in the air from a length. One's going to bounce more than normal. He's going to nick it, going to get caught third man, caught square leg, caught hooking fine leg. Anything can happen, right? But we didn't. We went on to this short plan, but by then Travis Head was in. And we all know the way he plays, people say he can't play the short ball. When he's in, he can.
Yeah.
He does, and he finds a way. He's got such a good eye. He backs away and cuts it. He gets inside and flips it. He's such a good player, and he's hard to bowl at. But in those situations, if they were stuck to their tactics with catches, I think he would have probably nicked off at some point.
Were there shades of Gilchrist about that innings? Were you getting flashbacks?
Well, those guys, look, you can talk about the best players in the world that have been Tendulkar and Lara and Callis and Ponting in my era, right? Mm-hmm. But the most difficult to bowl at out of them all was Gilchrist. And the reason is he come in at number 7 when he'd already bowled 15, 20 overs, right? And then he played like that. And he did it on numerous occasions. And England won the Ashes in 2005, no matter what they say. And all the players they talk about, Flintoff kept getting Gilchrist out, round the wicket, nicking off. That's the reason, the biggest reason for me why we won 2005 Ashes.
Andrew gets in contact. He says, I would have liked to have seen Ollie Robinson get recalled. If I remember rightly, he had a very good record bowling for England. Now, Ollie Robinson actually is the kind of bowler that, if he was within this England setup, still, I mean, it'd be almost impossible to play on these pitches in Australia.
Well, he's over there. He's playing club cricket.
I know he is.
Oh, he's playing club cricket. He's been bowling at the Aussies in preparation. He's bowled at Steve Smith in the nets in Sydney. So, a bit of a strange one. He's a good bowler. There's no doubt about it. He's as good as anybody else we've got in that squad. He could have easily been in the squad. They went for Potts instead. I don't know why. That's their choice. Potts is a good bowler. I thought he'd had his time with England, but he's got recalled. And he's a good cricketer. He can bat as well, Potts, you know.
Yeah.
Let's not underestimate as a player. And it wouldn't surprise me if he plays in Brisbane and he takes wickets, because I think he's a quality cricketer. But I thought, because he'd been in the side and all these youngsters had come in and he'd kind of been out of it, but he's made his way back into it, hasn't it? So good luck to him, and I hope he gets a chance and I hope he performs, because I like him as a cricketer.
Are you still hopeful?
Yes, because we're 1-0 down going into a test that could go either way, purely because of the conditions, and we get the right side of it. My worry is we get on the wrong side of everything and we're 2-0 down going into Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney.
Do you think the Aussies have been a little bit defensive by essentially naming the same squad?
I don't think they've got anywhere to go. Hazelwood and Cummins are not fit.
I'm thinking more the Khawaja. They've kind of kicked that can down the street, haven't they? They were 1-0 down.
I think he plays.
I think he plays as well.
What's the point of putting him in the squad if he's not going to play? I think the one who could miss out is Weatherall. If they decide to go for Inglis and bat and keep Travis Head up top and put Inglis in the middle order.
Okay. Plenty more to come on the show. You're listening to Goughy's Ashes. Still to come, Robert Crash Craddock. We're going to head over to Brisbane to find out just how much they've been loving things. Writer for the Brisbane Courier Mail. He's been writing since you were playing Goughy. And also we're going to hear that, or you'll hear that fantastic interview with one of the best bowlers to have ever bowled in cricket, Dale Steyn, South African legend. Great interview with Goughy. That's coming up here on talkSPORT. And this is Goughy's Ashes.
Thomas Tuchel's busy trying to bring glory back to England for the first time since '66. But how did he get here? Well, from the sleepy town of Krumbach via some giants of European football, here's his journey to Wembley. Sitting around 60 miles west of Munich, Krumbach's population is less than 14,000 people. But Tuchel's friends there remember a boy whose ambitions lay far beyond the Bavarian community. His will to win was evident early. Tuchel often captained his youth football teams, and his school side lifted the national German football trophy in 1987. The sport took the young defender on a whistle-stop tour of South Germany, from Augsburg to Stuttgart and then Ulm. A knee injury ended his playing career at the age of 25, though. Tuchel accepted his first coaching role in the Stuttgart youth setup in 2000, hired by none other than Ralf Rangnick. Under Tuchel's stewardship, the club's under-19s won their league title in 2005. But Stuttgart chose not to renew his contract, feeling Tuchel had an abrasive personality. He went on to manage Augsburg's second team before spending 5 years at the helm at Mainz. He then followed in Jurgen Klopp's footsteps and moved from Mainz to Dortmund. Here, Tuchel secured his first major silverware, the German Cup, in 2017. 8 more major trophies came next for Tuchel in just 5 glorious seasons. He won 2 Ligue 1 titles and a pair of domestic cups as PSG boss. At Chelsea, he famously lifted the Champions League, as well as a Super Cup and a Club World Cup, and he also bagged a Bundesliga at Bayern Munich. And then, 4 months after leaving Bayern, Tuchel was unveiled as England's new manager.
I always wanted to come back to England. That was my big goal. I have the best memories of the country, of the league and of the players, the attitude towards the game, the attitude from the supporters.
Well, here's hoping Tuchel can finally drag England over the line at a major tournament.
You're listening to talkSPORT. This is Goughy's Ashes. If you're tuning in expecting Trans-Euro Express with Andy Brassel and Danny Kelly, don't worry, it is on. It will be getting underway at 11 o'clock. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Get in contact if you want. What is the angriest you've ever been whilst watching your team play? Doesn't matter what sport it is. Just let us know. So before that, though, England's searching for their first Test victory in Australia in 15 years. It's been 15 years. So what is the key to winning Test matches down under? Goughy decided to speak to a man who's done it twice. 2 series in Australia. The South African great Dale Steyn.
One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, Dale, a couple of things. Obviously, being a fast bowler and you having huge success in Australia, not just as an individual, but as a team as well. We know how hard that is to go to Australia. It's similar to India. You've seen it now with England. They go out there, huge jokes. They've got 4 fast bowlers, 5 fast bowlers actually in that first test, playing at Perth, quick bouncing wicket. They thought they were going to get the victory. Australia just keeps showing time and time again it's going to be something special performance to beat Australia in Australia.
Yeah. No, you don't just go there and just beat Australia. You know, I think it requires a lot of planning, a lot of hard work. Somebody's got to be in form. You know, like I'm going to be honest. Every time we went to Australia and we won, we had guys in form, and it took a collective effort. One of the biggest things that we always spoke about was lower order runs, because you just mentioned all those Australian quicks. They're going to come at you. They're going to bounce you out. You're not going to get any half volleys as a tail ender. And then the one that they do pitch up is pretty much knocking your stumps out or getting you out anyway. So if you can somehow cluster up runs as a tail ender, or you'll get your tail to wag, those are invaluable when it comes to beating Australia. And then having 1 or 2 guys up in the top order that can go big and score big runs, you know, like a 150 who knows, if you really dig in, you can get a double hundred, that kind of thing. You need guys to be in form, and then have a good structured plan as to how you're going to go about it. And one of the ways that we kind of beat Australia is we just try to wear them down. We just kept coming. Didn't give it easy. Didn't give up any wicket easy. You just got to be relentless on it, because if you give them a chance, they just straight back into the game. They're so good in their conditions. They're so good with what they say they deliver on. So you just cannot give them an inch. And it's hard work beating Australia in Australia. It's not easy.
Absolutely. And when with your bowling, did you feel as though, being brought up in South Africa, you played obviously all around the world, but did you feel as though you could bowl your same lengths as you did in South Africa and Australia and have that success? Because you, similar to me, you were quicker, obviously. You bowled it a lot shorter than me at times, but you had that knack of swinging the ball and getting nick off. And I had decent success in Australia, and obviously your record in Australia is right up there. So did you always think the same plan, pitch it up, make them play with the new ball?
Yeah. It was probably the toughest thing about playing in Australia, because of the extra bounce, is you're just a little bit fearful of going too full. Because if you go too full, then it's half volley, bang, and then they bang you, and then you drag your length back, and then that's an absolute useless length, pretty much, because it's meat and drink for them all day, for any batter really. That's like that no man's land, They'll cut you, the wickets are true, they'll play you off the back foot. They're not in any trouble. They're not getting out LBW or bowled. You might nick them off the odd one if it goes, but it's such a conservative effort to get the ball that foot fuller in Australia, like it is in South Africa. And because it's similar conditions to South Africa, I always felt comfortable bowling there. But it's tough, it's tough because you get drawn into the bounce, and you get drawn into a keeper catching it above his head, and you get caught up with the crowd. And sometimes you just have to break that away. You got to block that silence out and say, okay, what works for me? This is what works for me. Got to go a little bit fuller. Got to be a little bit more patient, and try and take the wickets. That said, the way that the guys bat these days too. I mean, when I say these guys, you look at Travis Head. I mean, you have to have pretty incredible plans. You can bowl that same ball, but there's a chance that you could get him out first ball, or if he gets going, he's gonna have the same innings that he had in Perth the other day. So it's people play differently now too. But in terms of bowling, that slightly fuller length is always going to get you rewards.
And there's always something that I think the wickets now probably do a little bit more, Dale, than when you toured with South Africa. They tended to be flat, right? And if you got past the new ball, you could score big, as you mentioned. Some of the guys can go big, 150s, 200s. But as we've seen in state cricket over the last couple of years, it's been medium-pace swing bowlers that have taken the wickets. And to be honest, we've seen the success now of Boland as well coming into the side. The wickets he gets in Australia, that type of bowler is having huge success.
Yeah, that's it. I think they are a little bit sportier. And I think that's why you see guys playing so many more shots, because they just feel like if they stand there and they kind of block, one's going to have it's going to have their number on it. They're going to nick off and they're going to go, I'm just trying to survive here, and I'm getting out. So I may as well come out of the crease, move sideways in the track, hit the ball in awkward areas. But there's always a chance. There's a chance and there's a risk to that as a batter, and as a bowler, you should feel like there's there's a chance of getting a wicket. But I mean, then you get the Travis Head kind of innings, and that's an extraordinary innings. If he plays another one like that in this series, I'll be like, congratulations, mate. You deserve every cent that you earn, and well done. He is that good, but it is one of those innings that you just kind of have to dom your cap on it and be like, well done. But for the bulk of the time, it's going to be difficult.
Did you get reverse swing out in Australia, Dale?
A little bit, a little bit. I think back then when we played on flat tracks. So we would always kind of we'd go cross the seam, bowl the ball into the decks, try and get the guys to throw it, scuff it up a little bit. Umpires are a little bit smarter these days. They kind of see it and they try and stop you. But we did bowl for some reverse swing, certainly. But we also weren't shy to kind of just grind it out. And like I said, our spinners, one of the reasons why our spinners did so well there is because Australians don't want spinners to settle. They want to take them on. They really, really want to take them on. And Paul Harris was a guy that would just bowl almost like a negative line. He'd bowl left arm over into the legs and not be scared at not picking up a wicket. He'd bowl 20 overs, and then one of the batters would just be like, I've had enough, I'm going to have a go. And he would get caught mid-on or mid-off and look like an absolute fool, and Harry would work his way to getting these wickets and then just allow us to just keep coming back. Mornay would come back. I would come back. Makaya would come back. Callis had a little bit about him. Vernon Philander would just kind of nibble and nip. Kyle Abbott, again, another guy that gets the ball up there. So our spinner always allowed us to keep the seamers in the game, but almost in a negative way. And the Aussies didn't like that. They wanted to take him on.
Well, you got to get at them. I know you mentioned there about tail end runs. You got runs obviously in Melbourne. I remember that. I watched that. Was it 70 odd, wasn't it? I think 70 odd you got in Melbourne when you won that game, and it looked like that could have gone either way. And those runs were important. Did you, as a team, as well? Just quickly on this one. Did you, as a team, think, right, we're going to go at their tail enders? Because they tend to have a long tail, don't they, Australia? It starts at 8, really. I mean, not a 9, 10 or 11. It's a genuine 8. It's like a Cummins or a Shane Warne. But did you decide you were going to go at their lower order as well?
Yeah, we tried. I certainly had my fair share of battles with Mitch Johnson because the man could bat, and he did. He got 100 against us in Joburg when we played at the Wanderers. So he can bat. He certainly can bat. But, I was getting bounced left, right, and center when I'd go out there and bat. So I was like, I'm going to give it to these guys. So it was a little bit like whose tail can score the most runs, And we worked hard on it. Boucher, Duncan Fletcher, they worked hard on our tail enders to make sure that we had like 2 or 3 shots that we could score on. And then it's just solid defense where he was like, take the drive away. You guys are never going to drive. You're not that good. And so we were just like, all right, no drives. A couple shots in our armory, and we worked with that. And then when their guys came out, we try to give it to them. If you can break Mitchell Johnson's hand and get him out of the series, you've done beautifully. But then again, just try and get it up there, get them out, in the same way that we get like your Pontings and your Clocks out and your Hussies out. If those top order guys couldn't handle it, then the tail enders couldn't either.
And Dale, you were an handful with a red ball, the white ball. You would have been a proper handful with a pink ball, right, in the day-night game. I know you was on that, so obviously you didn't play in the day-night test. But how do you see the pink ball? I think you played a county game, didn't you? Hampshire versus Yorkshire with a pink ball. How did you go with it, and what did you think about the pink ball and what it does through the air and off the pitch?
It's crazy what it does, like what it can do, especially in that twilight kind of area. And I kind of like the way that teams are now adjusting to it, because as soon as they kind of start to see, we're going to get to that zone, they either up the scoring rate so they can get in a bowl in that period or whatever it is. So it really makes you think like how you're going to play your cricket. I just had that one game for Hampshire against who was it? Yorkshire, I think. It wasn't a very good sample size because, to be honest with you, it was a pink ball game and we never even needed the lights because it was still daylight at like 8:30 p.m. at the Rose Bowl. So my experience with it is not as great as some of the guys that have played. But I did practice with the Proteas when we had a couple of those pink ball games under lights, so the guys could get used to it. And I just found that it swung so nicely. You just felt like you were always in the game. There was always something. It had this glimmer and shine about it. And even as flat as the wicket was, you just felt like there was always something there for you as a seamer. And that was in practice. So, when you throw it into a game situation, crowd, pressure, all of that kind of stuff, I feel like that elevates that even more. Because now you just know, one wrong shot here and you're out. So it definitely leans more towards the bowler. I mean, look at Mitchell Stark's record with the pink ball. It's actually incredible. So I would have loved to have played a couple games with it, but didn't happen.
Brilliant stuff. Loads to unpick from that. Put the drive away. You will not be driving. That's very interesting, isn't it? Lots there. Del Steyn speaking with Goughy. We will look back at that. We'll talk about that. And we're going to be crossing to Brisbane before the end of the show. You're listening to Goughy's Ashes here on talkSPORT. You're listening to Goughy's Ashes, myself, John Norman, alongside Darren Gough. Let's head out to Brisbane, shall we? We've kind of been putting it off all show. We're going to have to speak to one of those crowing Aussies. Friend of talkSPORT Cricket, Robert Crash Craddock, who has been writing and watching cricket for so long. He even wrote about you, Goughy. Writes for the Brisbane Courier Mail, Code Sport as well. Crash, how much have you guys loved the last 7 days? This is what it's all about, isn't it? Christmas has well and truly come early.
Well, do you know what, John? You say that, but we always say that in Australia in our lifetime, there's not been a close Ashes series, and that wrangles. That's the one thing a lot of us want to see, And so I get it. Everyone thinks we're cock a hoop, but after the euphoria of Travis Head's innings died down, there was just this residual, I wouldn't call it emptiness, but just sort of, hang on, we want more than that. We want a good, really robust contest.
Can you see it changing, Crash? I mean, they've taken a lot of stick, England, for not sending some cricketers up to Canberra to play in that Mickey Mouse game, the 2-day game there with a pink ball in Canberra. But I said many times, we were sent to Tasmania, then up to Toowoomba. And this England team got sick of being sent to all parts by Australia in preparation for that first test. Do you think it was the right choice? In the media over there, thinking that England were right to go as a team to Brisbane?
I know what they were trying to do, Goughy. At times of distress, you want everyone to stay together, and they would have arrived probably back on today, Monday, for a test match on Thursday. But I would have sent Zach Crawley, I've got to admit. Like, he didn't score a run in Perth, so I would send Crawley and maybe Root. He said that he just felt that acclimatising to sticky, muggy, humid Brisbane was better. It's on the margins, but I just can't see how batting in a game, punching the ball through cover for 4 with a pink ball, when he hasn't played that much of it, would not have been good for Zach Crawley. Not all the team, I get it, but certainly a couple of them.
Crash, what's the situation regarding Usman Khawaja? Are we expecting him to open up alongside, is he going to open up? Is he going to play? Who's he going to be opening with? Is Travis Head really going to go back down the order? Any changes from Australia as far as you can see? Because we know Pat Cummins isn't coming back. Oh, have we lost?
No, although Cummins will bowl today, and they haven't actually ruled him out of everything. Usman Khawaja will bat today. We'll know so much more after that. My gut feeling, in a very, very tight call, that Khawaja is slightly favoured to retain his place, and that's there's a massive push over here for Travis Head to open the batting. One of the greatest batsmen of all time, Barry Richards, came into Brisbane yesterday and said, look, if Travis says to the selectors a 4-word sentence, I want to open, he said it's all over. But it's not quite that simple. So I think, we've had 6 opening batsmen since David Warner retired, and Head's good in the middle order. And also, if just say they bat first, do you bat like that again? So there's a lot of issues, but it's a tight one, John. It really is.
I mean, we've seen Nisa come into the squad as well, and Inglis, who I've been a massive fan of, by the way. I could easily see Inglis going in at 5 or 6 rather than Bo Webster coming back into the side. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you've got Cam Green bowling. You don't need another English-born English. He's seasoned that well, but he's coming good. And I really think he's a player they want in the next generation, Goughy. And they'd like to see his career sort of overlap more with the big fellas like Labuschagne and Smith before Smith goes. So, yeah, it's a chance. But once again, people say, sack Khawaja. Steve Harmison made the point. He said, it's okay saying sack Khawaja, but what happens if Head fails as an opener and Inglis goes well in the middle order? And so the move half succeeds. Do you then drop Travis back and you drop Inglis and then you look for your 8th opener since David Warner's retiring. So it's deceptively tricky choice.
Well, I'd keep Khawaja in, I think. I think it'd be Weatherall that surely would miss out. I mean, the last one, would you say Nathan Lyon's going to play in Brisbane?
Yeah, he's got a good record in pink ball. He's got a good record at the Gabba. Like Shane Warne, he milks the bounce at the Gabba. But he's just been, with the way baseball goes, Goffey, there's barely need for a spinner. I mean, with England, a long innings for England now is 60 overs, or 50 overs, and you barely need a slow bowler. So there is that. There is that his place has really been hotly debated. He always does serviceable work against England, but he barely bowled in the first test, and his stats recently, he's just not getting a bowl. So, look, you could do without him. I sense he's slightly favoured to play.
We shall see. Crash, thanks so much for joining us on the show. You can read Robert Crash Craddock in the Brisbane Courier Mail or by heading over to talkSPORT for all the reaction from Australia. Daniel Cherney as well. And Ben Horn, 2 or 3 of the best journos in Australia. Really interesting to hear him say that, though, wasn't it? Because Mike Atherton said it was as deflated as he'd ever felt since retiring from the game. He felt pretty downbeat after England were bowled out for 46 back in the day. But as a journalist, as a broadcaster, he said after all that build-up, after all of that was written and said, the excitement, the chance England have got, for it to be over in 2 days, he felt was just an absolute crying shame. And
gut wrenching, mate. It's gut, and I think it's the hope that kills you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I said that whole build-up, the confidence of Ben Stokes going through Perth Airport with his golf clubs, the headlines, it was all building up, right, for an absolutely great Test match. And let's be honest about it, it was a great 2 days.
Well, it was entertaining.
It was a great 2 days of watching cricket. Unfortunately, the way England played in that on the second day, it kind of spoilt it for us all. And that's why the disappointment, because we all thought, oh, my word, England are going to thrash them inside 3 days. And then we lost in 2. But going into Brisbane now, look, we turn up and we put a performance in. It's game-changing day, right? But if the worry is now, we go 2-0 down. I don't know if there's any way back in Australia for us to somehow get it. I think we will win a game. I don't think it'll be a clean sweep. We will win a game the way we play, if we carry on playing the way we play. But the worry is you could lose 4 of them.
Zach Crawley against Mitchell Starc. I mean, see, this
what does he do?
Is the actual beauty of sport, though, isn't it?
Well, you've just heard Dale Steyn talk about take the drive out of the bag.
Yeah.
We saw Tendulkar take the drive out of the bag.
Mark Taylor did.
Yeah, Mark Taylor. We're hearing it now on Joe Root. Take the drive out of the bag because that's why he gets out early on when he comes in, doesn't he? Plays a little way away from his body and start. That's why he's got him out both innings. So,
but we have
Root could do it.
Right?
Root's got the talent to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Zach Crawley's got the patience or this amount of talent that Joe Root's got to be able to stop himself driving. We've seen it over 60 Test matches. He's played 60 now, hasn't he, or 59? Yeah. So we've seen it over 60
Same as
tests.
you.
He can't.
More than you.
Yeah.
What were you, 58?
Yeah, I missed 60 through injury, though.
Yeah, you did.
I'm like Woody. Me and Woody are very similar. So I missed 60 through injury. I did genuinely miss 60. We counted them up, yeah. I
really?
Missed 60, yeah. Missed 60 over that period.
So I was talking about you a couple of days ago, and I said you should have played 90 tests.
No, I don't think... the problem is, if I would have played all them 60 to play 120 Test matches, would have been ridiculous. In my era, let's be realistically, if I'd have played 70...
Another 25.
Yeah, if I played 70, 75, that would have been a maximum for a fast bowler in my era.
Yeah.
Now, every player that plays now over a period of time play 100. That's why all the stats are going to just be by current players, whether it be Strauss and then Cookie and all these guys, because they're all playing 100. In my era, it was just the batters, Atherton, Stewart and Thorpe.
We haven't talked a lot about the batters, by the way. We will do so. And we're going to cross back to Australia. Damien Fleming is going to be talking to us here on talkSPORT. You're listening to Goffey's Ashes. This is Goughy's Ashes on talkSPORT. If you're tuning in expecting to hear Trans-Euro Express, don't go anywhere. Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel will be with you in 27 minutes' time. But for now, though, we're going to cross back to Australia. Former Aussie fast bowler and one of the co-hosts. What a lineup this is, by the way. The Fast Bowler Cartel podcast. Damien Fleming, Glenn McGrath and Jason Gillespie. That sounds like a show.
All good lads as well.
You should get on that.
All good lads as well. I've actually seen a lot of their stuff they put out on social media. So like they've got some knowledge there and some wickets.
Well, they have. Who better to speak to?
Test hat-tricks, a double 100.
Yeah, and they know how to pile on the misery for England as well. The producer just asked if you took a hat trick. I think it's been funny.
I've fit in on that podcast.
Yeah. Let's speak to Damien Fleming. Thanks so much for joining us, Damien. Greetings from this side of the world. First things first. What can we expect for this pink ball test? Because, England don't play a lot of pink ball cricket, We don't play it in this country. Conditions, if the first test was a 2-day affair, we're going to have our first ever 1-day test match. Oh, is Damien there? He's just fallen off air. That's a shame. The answer will be no. It won't be a 1-day test. But when you consider this was a test match everybody thought was going to finish, if it was going to be finishing inside 4 days. Damien is with us. Damien, are you there, mate? What can we expect from this pink ball test match? We don't play a lot of it over here.
Yeah, John. Hey, Goughy, how are you, mate? It's certainly in that hat tricks club. So well done, Goughy. And we'll have to get you on that podcast.
Definitely.
Because when you talk a bit of baseball too, before we get on the pink ball, Dazzling Dazza was doing that in 94, 95 with the ball and the bat. Great 50 over there, down there in Sydney. But yeah, the pink ball, it's funny with Joe Root, talking about whether we need it. And, that is debatable with Ashes series because the crowds here and in England are just absolutely packed. But non-Ashes years, the pink ball test match, probably gets the best crowd. And then at night on TV, the pink ball just looks absolutely sensational. Yeah. The interesting one will be at the Gabba, just with the humid conditions, whether there's rain around and how much that pink ball will do. Probably do more than it does in Adelaide, whereas in Adelaide, Damien Hoff, the curator he gets the pitch length really correct. It can be ugly sessions, late in the day, but overall the pink ball test matches have been excellent in Adelaide. And at the Gabba, we just haven't had enough to be able to work out whether it works up there.
Why did they change it, Flem, from Adelaide? I'm with you. I just think Adelaide is a great spectacle. It always looked great. I understand why they have a pink ball test, because I think when you do look at it visually, it is an awesome spectacle. But to change it to Brisbane, I think that surprised everyone, because the Brisbane test, the first test, is normally it's huge, isn't it? It's always been huge in the history of the game.
And it's been a fortress for Australia. Yeah. They've only lost once since 1988-89, so the scheduling's different. It is tough for Brisbane, Perth and Adelaide. Like Melbourne get Boxing Day, Sydney is the New Year's test. So the other three are all trying and make a week which they can actually own and sell, that everyone each year knows it is. So, the Perth Stadium, 60,000 people day one. Generally the crowd's around 35. So that worked, but we only had a 2-day test. The Adelaide crowd are generally pretty resilient because that's more of a festival test match as well. Like outside the back, they've got these marquees where they can have 10,000 people out there, and there's great eateries and you can have a few beers and wines. So the Gabba's sort of starting to get lost a little bit. When it was the first test of the year, there was really good crowds. Australia played well there, and then you move on. So the Gabba's sort of been pushed around a bit. It's certainly the oldest stadium we have now that hasn't been done up for a few years. So they'll move because they got the Olympics, I think, in 2032. So they're going to build a new stadium there as well. But, you played there, Goughy. It can be a bit of a fortress for Australia. But it's just this day night, the pink ball test match, when if hopefully we don't get rain, but if it comes in, it's generally in the afternoon as we're starting to play the test match. So fingers crossed that it's dry conditions and there's a good battle between bat and ball.
Do you expect? I mean, there's been a lot of criticism about England over the last week, as you'd expect. The pressure's going to be on, obviously. It's a test they dare lose. It's going to be a real test of their resolve. Do you expect the England batters to stick or twist?
The thing is with Bazball, and I got it into my head last tour over there in England, 2023, is the way that we think as ex-cricketers, and what we do in this scenario. Bazball, McCullum and Stokesy will do the opposite. So you've got to get in your head that, oh, no, we need to consolidate here. We need to grind. Whereas they go, no, we've got the foot on the throats. Let's just go harder. So and when McCullum after the first test goes, we're going to double down. What is that? Are we going to have a one-day test? So that it's terminology that blows our minds, Goughy, isn't it? But I get into my head going, no, what's the opposite of what I'm thinking? And it was disappointing because how well did England bowl in that first innings, day one? And they worried me because they started to use words like unrelenting. And the Steve Waugh-led teams for Australia dominated, used ruthlessness. So we're not going to let them back in. We're going to grind them. So when I heard the bowling attack, which is all right-handers but very varied, using the words unrelenting, I thought, wow, we're in a bit of trouble here. But the batting is the opposite of unrelenting. You could call it soft, unaccountable, brilliant, but not predictable. So, I'd like to see, if I'm England, I'd like to see a little bit of that unrelenting coming into their batting, because that, for me, that was an unlosable test match. They got themselves that ahead of the game. They should have won that. So let's see if they get into that position again, the way they would play. But, yeah, I mean, they talk about no negativity around the group, but that's okay for senior players. But for the players that are just trying to emerge into this team and emerge as a test cricketer, do you have that deep-seated belief in your own game? And when they say just back yourself, when you're a young cricketer, what does it mean?
When you're winning, it works, right? I mean, but look, sometimes you have to dig deep. I think Australia had to dig deep. They were behind on first innings, and they dug deep, bowled well, and the way they came out batting, they changed the way they planned. They tried to change the momentum. They took England off their plans. England started to bowl short, which was too late because Travis Head then was in. And we've all seen when he gets in, he makes the short ball look easy. He backs away, uses his feet, he's got great eyes, and he cuts it or he gets inside it and he flips it. So you've got to get the plans right to all these players, and the preparation for me was off. They needed more game time. And it'll be interesting now what Australia do come Brisbane. I think they might make a couple of changes. I think Khawaja definitely will play, but I think they might make a couple of changes, Australia.
And also, I found it funny that they only sent a couple of younger boys to the Prime Minister's 11, which was a 2-day pink ball test. And for me, I don't know why Bazball didn't play in that, because they're acclimatised to 2-day cricket, aren't they?
Well, they did win. But it would have been a waste of time sending them, wouldn't it? Because Australia battered on the first day under the lights, and England had won in the second day, so hardly battered under the lights anyway.
Yeah. I was just trying to gag there, Goughy.
I know. I get it, bud. I get your humour.
But backing up, I'd actually go, I would keep Travis Head opening if I'm Australia. The opening slot has been a real concern for since Warner retired, but even Dave Warner's last couple of years were nowhere near his peak. And I think Head knows Weatherall really well, and Weatherall's a stroke player as well. And there's no doubt that gave him a lot of confidence in that second innings batting with Trav. And then it gets the opportunity. They're a big fan of Josh Inglis.
Me too.
The Australian staff. And we already know that Bo Webster is a very solid Test cricketer. Didn't look overawed at all in his short career. So I'm thinking that, and maybe a big in could be Pat Cummins. He hasn't been named, but they're going to give him till the last minute. You put Cummins with a pink ball up at the Gabba, that's just another component the Bazball will have to get over.
Flem, we spoke with Rob Crash Craddock, and he said there was a sense of anticlimax after the 2-day win. Obviously Australia pleased to have won the game, but after all the build-up and the hope to see, I suppose, a 2005 Ashes or even a 2023 Ashes, but one in Australia. He was saying he hasn't seen a close Ashes series. Was there any deflation, any sense of deflation within the Fast Bowler Cartel podcast or within the radio commentary that you're part of?
Well, we got Mitch Stark on the Fast Bowling Cartel, so no, there wasn't any down there. No, I still think it is so busy at the moment, and sorry I haven't got on before with functions, and so no, it's still buzzing, and Bazball's got everyone talking. So as long as they can have a strong performance in the second test, they have to get confidence that at virtually a 1 for 100 at lunch on day 2, they were ahead of the game. So their best can win, but can they be consistent enough to do it over? I can't see it going 5 days, but to be able to win a test match here and they'll be alive. So, I'd say that it's still, even though Australia 1-0 and it was a disappointing loss for England, the interest, the chat about Bazball is still at its peak. So if England were able to really play well and win this test match, I think there would be that buzz back to 2005. As you said, even last series was a wonderful series, wasn't it? 2023. And physically, what I see there's no reason why they can't, because they got into that winning position. Wood's out, but, we saw Potts or Tongue, whoever they play, they should bowl well in Australian conditions. But the big one for me is, Brooke, threw it away, but him and Smith look really good players. I can see them doing some damage in Australia, but it's the experience of Stokes and Root, who got knocked over, playing quite traditional. I can't see them winning without those two firing.
Brilliant stuff. Flem, thanks for your time. It's always great to get you on, and just a close series. That's what we all want, isn't it? I mean, otherwise people are just going to switch off, and nobody's going to be waiting up in this part of the world if England are 2-3 down.
No,
going to Melbourne.
I think he's right though. It could soon change though. Like I say, we're 1-0 down now, and everybody's disappointed. Right? But England come out and put in a performance. He's right. 5 days is any one of these games without rain. There's no way they're going to last 5 days. Both batting lineups, I think, are vulnerable to the moving ball. Both of them, right? And if England bowl like they did in that first innings of the first test, we've seen they can knock over Australia. So that gives them confidence. Let's look on the bright side. Huge confidence from the way they bowled at Australia in that first innings. And Australia will be thinking, without Hazelwood and Cummins, we still knocked them over twice, right? So... But England get a win here, and it all changes. It's 1-1, and it's back on for a great series.
He's not the first person to say that the decision on Cummins hasn't actually been made. I know that you've been confident that he won't be playing.
I think it's too...
Imagine that. He walks out for the toss.
Well, look, nothing surprises me in cricket these days, especially the way they're playing. I think it would be the wrong move for him. But listen, Cummins could play and get 5-4. We know how good he is. But would you risk your captain and your best bowler, which he is their best bowler consistently over the last, 6 years? Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Stark's had a great 2, an unbelievable 2. But would you risk him for the sake of one test match when you're already 1-0 up?
Would you risk him?
No.
Really?
No.
Winning Ashes, pretty much.
England aren't coming back from England out twice, mate.
You're listening to Goughy's Ashes here on talkSPORT. Plenty more to come before we hand over to Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel for Trans-Euro Express.
Step up to the Oki and win on talkSPORT.
We're closing in on the talkSPORT Darts Presenter Trophy 2025 now in its third year, where 8 of talkSPORT's biggest names go head-to-head ahead of the PDC World Darts Championship kickoff. And this year, you and a friend could be right there with us. You'll be the only members of the public allowed in on Wednesday, the 10th of December in London. 2 seats, 2 insider passes, a true money-can't-buy experience for the ultimate talkSPORT fan. And the very next day, you'll also both be heading to the opening day at the PDC World Darts Championship. And we'll sort 2 nights hotel stay and a massive £2,500 in cash. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Texts cost £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 4 p.m. next Thursday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. For T's and C's at talksport.com. Right, Goughy, we've only got a few moments before we head over to Trans-Euro Express. Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel. Give the TalkSPORT listeners a couple of minutes, reasons why they should be optimistic that England are going to bazball their way to brilliance in Brisbane and square the series with 3 to play.
Well, there's plenty of positives. I think the brand of cricket has been exciting to watch, and they've had plenty of test wins, so it gives you hopes that England can win if they can get everything right on the occasion. Ben Stokes will go down as one of the best captains ever if they win this series, without a doubt. We know he's one of the best players we've ever had. Second best all-rounder at this moment in time. He could easily overtake Surya Botham if he wins this Ashes series. So there's plenty for him to play for as an individual. Joe Root, averaging 52 nearly in Test cricket, is one of the greatest England players of all time. He wants to get 100 or 2 in Australia. This might be his last chance this series. I still believe he will get 100 in the remaining 4 tests. And Harry Brook averages 58. What more? What more optimism do you need when you've got those sort of players in your side that can make things happen? Jofra Archer is now back fit. Woody, will we see him again? If he does, he can bowl at 96, 97 miles an hour. There's plenty of world-class players in that side, and they've got a chance of winning a game. But they're coming up against a side that are organised, they know how to win, and when they have to dig deep, they dig deep, and when they can put their foot on the accelerator, they do it. So it's not going to be easy, but England have definitely got the talent to get a victory or 2 in Australia.
Dale Steyn, in your interview earlier, and it was a brilliant interview, and it will be reposted up on the TalkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, and will also be part of How to Win the Ashes, which is the podcast that you've been pushing out on the Following On podcast feed. Said you need players in form. Who are England's players in form? Batter and bowler.
Well, if you go on the first test, not
just. I mean, in the last 6 months.
Well, Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett played really well in the warm-up game. Right?
You'd say Duckett is in form. He's had a consistent period. Yeah.
Well, Root's in pretty good nick.
Yeah,
Harry Brook's in pretty good nick.
So they're the players, right?
Yeah, the ones I've mentioned.
Yeah.
And then we've seen Gus Atkinson. What a start he's had. He's had 5 for 100. He's had 100 with a bat. Jofra Archer, yes, we're waiting for something special to happen. We know he's capable of it. He's coming back after a long time out. Woody not play since February, so that was always going to be a gamble, but worth the gamble because he is quicker than any other bowler in the world at this moment in time, right? So Gus Atkinson, Josh Tonk knocks over the lower order, so he could come back into the side as well. I think he had a decent series against India. So there's plenty of bright, and definitely Ben Duckett. He's been superb now for a couple of years in all formats, 20, T20, 50 over, and Test cricket.
And you expect England just to go full on bazball? I mean, some of the stuff
change.
Some of the stuff Root's been saying this week is, you've got to apply pressure at times.
That's how Root does it. Root went all bazball, then he went back to playing his natural game because it doesn't suit him, that form. He's not slow at scoring, is he, Joe Root?
No.
So, but trying to reverse sweep in the first over of a Test match is not really Joe Root's thing. And I think he's found a way now to play. But his biggest thing, it's got to be mentally now, because in Australia, that first test would have hit him hard. Everybody predicted him to go out and get 100 in that first test because everybody knows how good he is. And a lot of thought he's mentally quite strong. But when you keep falling short of that magic 3 figures in Australia, it gets harder and harder and harder. Because once they get in front, they're very hard to catch.
Goughy, brilliant stuff. You're heading down to Plymouth tonight. So
Plymouth, yeah, from here. Be a good journey.
Yep. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for another Goughy's Ashes. Hopefully 1-1 with 3 to play ahead of that Adelaide test. If you want more Darren Gough, and who wouldn't, head over to the following on podcast feed. How to Win the Ashes, hosted by Goughy. And for all of your cricket content, head over to the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, because there is a lot up there. Bumble and Kimber throughout the week. Cricket Collective with Steve Harmison and Neil Manthorpe. And then when the test gets underway on Thursday morning, I'll be shouting throughout the breakfast show with Alan and Ali and Jeff on Thursday and Friday, and hopefully Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully we get 3 or 4 days out of this one. Either way, don't go anywhere. Coming up very shortly, Trans-Euro Express with Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel. But thanks for listening to Goughy's Ashes.
Formula One. It's a sport often seen as insular and elitist, but it's seen a meteoric rise under its owners Liberty Media, not only in popularity and viewership, but in the ability to almost print money. From greater access to more races, Here's how it happened. For decades, Formula One was owned and run by one man, Bernie Ecclestone. He was old school, someone who thought the sport itself was enough, and there was no need for all this modern marketing and social media nonsense. But in 2016, Ecclestone agreed to sell his baby to American group Liberty Media. It cost Liberty Media $4.4 billion, and they quickly got to work. We got an F1 app almost immediately, and teams were allowed to show us more from behind the scenes. One of Liberty's most important deals was with Netflix, which in 2019 brought us Drive to Survive. The effect? An almost 70% rise in viewership for races in the US alone. It's massively benefited Formula One online too, with a rise from 7.8 million followers across its social media platforms in 2016 to around 50 million today. New eyes are on the sport too, with F1's own subscription TV channel, which people can watch anywhere in the world. But the main market they've tapped into is the US. There's now 3 races there a year, in Texas, Miami and Las Vegas, and an American-branded team, Cadillac, getting involved in the sport too. More races seems to be the direction of travel. A street circuit in Madrid's being welcomed onto the calendar, while conversations around a Grand Prix in Africa have ramped up in the last few years. More big events could be in the offing too, after the massive F1 75 season launch event in London in 2025. 7.5 million people tuned in to watch it live across their social media channels, and that doesn't include the viewing figures for where it was broadcast on TV in certain countries. It seems Liberty will do whatever they can to grow the F1 brand. Their efforts have been worthwhile too, with Forbes valuing the sport at $17.1 billion back in 2023, almost 4 times more than what they bought it for in 2016. Not bad, considering it's seen as a sport where people just drive around in circles.
Guten Abend, one and all, and welcome once again to your Sunday night fix of European football in the form of Trans-Europe Express. I'm Danny Kelly. With me for the next 2 hours is Andy Brassell. And of course, it's a truncated version of the show. So thank you very much for being with us for that. And hopefully you can stay with us for, as long as it's possible on a school night as we head into the small hours with, as I say, a 2-hour version of the show. It should be a belter, though, because there's so much going on in European football. And during the next 120 minutes, we'll tell you all about the major stories from across the continent, including tightening league races in France, Italy and Spain. No runaway leaders except in Germany, really. We'll also be talking about the Champions League, of what happened during the week. An extraordinary week in which the English teams who were undefeated in the previous round, 4 of them managed to get beat in this round. We'll have Mbappe watch. Tim Vickery will join us from South America. We'll talk about Lucas Paquetá's incredible sending off today and his reaction to it. He blames the football authorities for him going absolutely bonkers this afternoon. And much else besides. We've got a poll for you as well, all of which we're going to try and squeeze in a radio first without a safety net into just 120 minutes of radio. Welcome one, welcome all to Trans-Europe Express. Good evening, Andy.
Good evening, Danny. How are you?
Really, really good indeed. First of all, I want to give you a warning, and particularly you who are trying to learn about American football from me, and people who perhaps have the odd flutter on other sports other than soccer. Last week during the programme, I told you the Dallas Cowboys were finished because they were 21 points down against Philadelphia. Not only did they come back to win that game, Andy, but they also then beat Kansas City on Thursday in the Thanksgiving game, which means they've beaten both of last year's finalists. arguably two of the best teams in the country. And I heard the great Tony Romo, in my opinion, the best commentator on American football, say, I don't think anything can stop these for now from winning the Super Bowl. So they've gone from me telling you they were definitively out to winning the Super Bowl in less than 3 days. Let's get back to soccer, though, where, because of our strange schedule tonight, amazingly, it's time for this.
Sa carrière, le Paris Saint-Germain, Mbappé! Mbappé! Little give and go, Mbappe's in! Oh, it's 2-2! He scored twice in 2 minutes! Tête de Kylian Mbappé. Allez, Kylian!
Yeah, Andy, so I mentioned there in my award-winning soliloquy at the top of the show the fact that the race for the title in Spain, Italy, and good God for help us, France, have all tightened over the weekend, and this was partially because Real Madrid did not win against Girona.
Yeah, that's right. More points were dropped at a lowly team, albeit a team that has hope now in Girona, because they looked absolutely hopeless at the start of the season, you will recall. But it was a strange old game, really interesting one, I thought. It looked like Kylian Mbappe had given Real Madrid the lead just towards the end of the first half. Girona wanted a push in the build-up to that by Mbappe before he put the ball in. It turned out he'd done a sneaky little handball before towing it in, and that was spotted on the VAR. So immediately after that was disallowed, Girona went up the other end, and Azzedine Unai, who they signed in their last-minute supermarket sweep to actually get a half-decent team on board before the transfer deadline. He came across from Marseille, and he was, of course, one of Morocco's best players in the 2022 World Cup. It's been held up a little bit since then. Scored a cracking goal to put them in front at half-time. Kylian Mbappe equalised from the penalty spot in the second half. Real Madrid probably should have had another penalty for a foul on Rodrigo. They didn't get it. And then right towards the end, Mbappe had practically the last kick of the game, a great chance to win it, put it wide of the post. So I guess the things that are coming out of this are, A, Real Madrid are not top anymore. B, Xabi Alonso's seat is not all that comfortable, despite the fact they won at Olympiacos in the Champions League in the week. And C, all the discussion really in Madrid is, where would Real Madrid be without Kylian Mbappe at the moment?
Sure. This is an unusual show because we're starting so late, which means that the league tables are set in stone. Often they're shifting around even as we speak at 9 o'clock, which I love because it's live radio, but this is a different kind of advantage we have. Why don't you tell people, before we get on to other stories about Real Madrid, how tight it is in the top of Spain, or are we going to do that during the Spanish section?
No, let's do that right now,
Tell us
Danny.
now, yeah.
Because we've got a situation where Real Madrid are no longer top, as we said. So Barcelona 34, Real Madrid 33, Villarreal 32, and Atletico Madrid 31. So just 3 points between the top four, with obviously Villarreal being the outlier in that group.
Yeah, well, I'll be talking about Villarreal in the next section in just a while. Now, you talked about Xabi Alonso, all Real Madrid. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Andy, that at all times, all Real Madrid managers are either under scrutiny or pressure. It's either one or the other. Is very often both. I think this has been not helped as well, though. It's been ratcheted up by the stories coming out now that Vinicius, not their best player this season, but the player who's kept them going in the 2 seasons before that, saying out the corner of his mouth or through representatives that he doesn't feel he can sign or extend his contract while his relationship with the aforementioned Xavi is so poor.
Yeah, that's right. Now, I think the timing of this story leaking out is the interesting bit, because Vinicius reportedly said this to the club the last time they discussed a contract, which was weeks ago now. This is a long time ago, predating even his drop when he got substituted in El Clasico.
Yeah.
So this is not something particularly new. The sharing of it with the public is new, which I think is significant. There's no getting away from that. But I do just wonder what the advantage is for Vinicius and his camp in leaking it at this stage, because I guess they will think of it from the perspective of, well, Xabi Alonso is in a weak position at the moment simply because the results and the performances aren't quite there. and Real Madrid aren't as dominant in La Liga as they were, say, 6 weeks ago. Having said that, everyone who knows anything knows that Real Madrid and Vinicius are miles apart on a contract financially at the moment. So really, it's kind of an empty threat, isn't it? Saying, well, I won't sign again if, while my relationship with this coach is not great. So, maybe you might want to think about it. Now, if they were offering him everything he wanted and were absolutely desperate for him to sign and the ink wasn't on the paper yet, maybe there'd be some weight in this.
Yeah,
but as it stands at the moment, what does it mean? It's a little bit like saying, as he has said earlier in the negotiations, I'm being offered this much from this club and this club in the Saudi Pro League. And Real Madrid's whole thing has been, well, if you want to take it, we can't ever match that amount of money.
No,
so,
it almost amounts to the three-syllable reply, off your pop.
Yeah, I mean, it feels to me, Danny, as if this is not being negotiated brilliantly on his behalf. Now, with Xabi Alonso, whether his methods will ever work durably at Real Madrid with the sort of guy he is, with the fact that he wants to impose meritocracy there, and with the fact that he hasn't really managed to get his football to stick so far, those are all valid questions. But I don't see how that and the Vinicius issue necessarily overlap, even if there is a desire on the Vinicius side to get those issues to overlap.
Indeed, because Vinicius cannot guarantee, great player though he is, he's also no Nostradamus, he can't guarantee that the next Real Madrid manager, whoever that might be, wouldn't take exactly the same view. I mean, let's take a wild flyer here. Germany win the World Cup, but Nagelsmann is suddenly king of the world, and he's the next manager of Real Madrid. He's unlikely to say, actually, what I'm going to do is have a load of superstar favourites and not worry about anything else. It's just not going to happen anymore, is it?
No. And I think you have to look at that. If Real Madrid are not going to go for... How many Ancelottis are out there, really? Those sort of, I suppose, celebrity indulgers, politically adept guys.
Less and less of them, I'm afraid, Andy.
I think so. And obviously, these are the sort of coaches that in the past, not Xabi Alonso, of course, because he had a very distinguished playing career, but the likes of Nagelsmann, those who were sort of ridiculed as technocrats by proper football men in the past.
Specky managers, yeah.
Yeah, laptop managers. But the fact is that these are the guys who are basically running the game going forward. So I think this is a bit of an adjustment, and inevitably if Real Madrid doesn't change under Xabi Alonso, the culture is going to have to evolve under the next coach or the next coach after that, simply because of the way the game is going, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of players who have, although his situation has been much complicated by an injury, but not being treated as a superstar, but on his merits. But I think good for English football to see Trent Alexander making Trent Alexander-Arnold making another start for Real Madrid, Andy, at right fullback.
3 successive starts, obviously helped by the fact that there's no Dani Carvajal at the moment, which was clearly again a political obstacle at the start of this season and was a bit of an issue. But at the moment, he's got a clear run. And he's making the most of it. I think if we go back to last weekend where they got that point at Elche, and we seem to be talking a lot about Real Madrid stalling at the moment, but it was down to Alexander-Arnold and Bellingham that they ended up getting a point from that. And as we were saying last week, again, his set piece is super, super important to Real Madrid, especially while they're really lacking that fluency in play.
Yes, those of you who are regular listeners will notice they always slightly stumble when I get to Trent Alexander-Arnold's name. That is to do with age and the business I came out of, i.e. music, because I always want to say Terence Trent D'Arby. And in fact, 2 weeks ago, Andy, I did mangle the two names together.
For what it's worth, Danny, Terence Trent D'Arby isn't
Still
even
doing
Terence
it now?
Trent D'Arby's name anymore, is it? So
no, he has changed his name completely. That's absolutely
it's
right.
Tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah, but no. 2 weeks ago, I did mangle the two names together. I think I got away with it. I didn't. Somebody reminded me on Twitter the other day. But that's the reason why I do. So I have to write his whole name down. I used to just write Trent, right? But now I start saying Terence Trent D'Arby. Trent Alexander-Arnold to give him a proper respect now that he's establishing himself at Real Madrid. We'll take a quick break there. The next thing we're here on this truncated version of Trans-Europe Express, which we're going to rocket through. I'll be bringing you all the other news from Spain, thanks to Andy and his giant football-sized brain, which brings such power to Trans-Europe Express here on talkSPORT. Yeah, again, I really want to thank those of you who, I mean, normally you would listen to us if you're a regular listener, up to midnight. But it's odd that we're starting so late. Of course, it's because of preview show for the Ashes, which start again this week. It should be said that the preview shows are lasting longer than the actual test matches so far. But we are here on Trans-Europe Express are on between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock this morning. So thank you very much, those who are listening, for being with us as we turn our attention now, Andy, to Spain, where we heard about Real Madrid dropping points. Barcelona took advantage of that, although they were by no means easy winners against Alaves.
No, they weren't, Danny. They're 1-0 down in 45 seconds, and they made really heavy weather of this. Alaves had quite a lot of chances. When you think of how easy the game was against Athletic, the first one back at Camp Nou in over 2 years, last weekend, this was the exact opposite against an opponent who were expected to be a little easier, not such a lauded opponent as Athletic. And it was tough for Barcelona. You could see the tension. And some of that tension was shown at the end of the game, where you had Hansi Flick, who was tearing up on the bench and being comforted by Rafinha, the returning captain, who started his first game since September in this and played really well, actually, I thought, starting instead of Marcus Rashford. And Hansi Flick spoke about it afterwards, and he was being consoled by Rafinha, who said to him, look, we're going to play better than this in subsequent weeks. Don't worry. And I guess that shows what a setback, what happened at Chelsea in the week was for them.
Absolutely. We'll come on to that a little later in the show. But, a difficult win, but a win is a win, you might say. The important thing, I think, to take out of this for Barcelona is the return of Rafinha. We saw his leadership qualities there at the end when he was, as you say, consoling the manager. We know his importance as a player. It also tends to cement what we think in our minds is the natural front three for selection for Barca.
Yeah, Danny, there's a hierarchy. There's no doubt about it. Now, we said it at the start of the season, before the start of the season, what Deco was looking for cover for Rafinha, for Lamine Yamal and for Robert Lewandowski. And Marcus Rashford has been great so far, but that's what he is. And he was back on the bench for this. Look, we know they're going to play a lot of games. He's going to get chances in other games. He's barely put a foot wrong so far, Rashford. We have to say that. But Rafinha coming back, and he played the first hour, is absolutely huge for them. And it was a good reminder of what a different player he is, but what an important player he is for Barcelona in every way.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't had a chance to look online at those pictures of him with Hansi Flick, my only worry there, if I was a Barca fan, Andy, is, football's an emotional game, but the manager doesn't need to be in tears on the side of the pitch unless something else has happened that we don't know about. Let's talk then about this. Well, we go from one end of the human spectrum, where somebody is genuinely upset about something, to the other end, where we're going to talk a little bit about expectations of luxury. And I don't want to make up this is about entitlement, because I don't know the exact circumstances. But Atletico Madrid beat Oviedo 2-0. Alex Sorloth, their big Norwegian striker, got the 2 goals. But that wasn't the whole story, because Sorloth and his wife, certainly lady wife, have been at the front of a fantastic story about the Norwegian wives and girlfriends.
Yeah, that's right. Lars Sivertsen, friend of the show, giving us the heads up on this. The biggest story in Norwegian football this week, remarkably, was about the complaints of the Norwegian wives and girlfriends about the corporate facilities, or lack thereof, at the National Stadium in Ullevål. And there was a brilliant quote in the story in the main Norwegian sports paper, VG, from Alexander Sorloth's partner. They've got one child and another on the way, saying that Ullevål, you don't get any babysitting or appropriate catering, which unbelievable, I know. And obviously then she had to finish that off by going, at the Metropolitano, of course, it's different. You get people to look after the kids while you're watching the game. You get good catering, comfortable areas to hang with your family. And I thought, that's not a great way to endear yourself to your home country, is it really?
Very. I mean, look, I don't know what the facilities are like. I don't suppose the Norwegian...
Not as good as Atletico's.
No,
I think is the obvious answer to that.
Yeah, well, it was a great story about the distraction, but Sorloth didn't let it bother him as he got those 2 goals for Atletico. What a turn next, Andy, to the Seville derby, always one of the great events in Spanish football. I guess you could argue that at Seville 0, Betis 2 is a form result, but Betis had problems, didn't they? They had no Anthony, got himself sent off in a previous game. They had no Isco either. After the beard returned magnificently, he wasn't there either. But in the end, that's a good result for Betis.
Very good, and it was as bitty, really, the game earlier on in the first hour as Sevilla would have wanted it. And then Pablo Fornals took the ball by the horns, scoring one, creating one. The goal that he did score, it was an error by Baptiste Mendy in the build-up, but he took it so well. Fornals, undoubtedly the man of the match in this game, and. Obviously, it being Sevilla versus Betis, there was lots of other stuff going on. There was a massive delay at the end of about 15 minutes, even though there were only a couple of minutes left in the game, when loads of the Biris, the Sevilla ultras, were throwing plastic bottles towards the Betis players. And so as soon as that was seen by the referee, he ushered everyone off the pitch, even though the players stayed on when he told them to get off. They were very much, there's only a couple of minutes left and we all know who's won, can we just finish this and go home? But that is not protocol, so that they stopped the game and that they started it again afterwards. There was as well the Betis players saying "Voy a cantar el himno," which means we're going to sing the hymn. That is from going back to Monchi when he was last at Sevilla, trolling the Betis fans by hanging out a big flag with that phrase on it and with the 6 UEFA Cups / Europa Leagues on it as well. So obviously Betis love to throw this back in their face every time they beat Sevilla, and they did it all again today.
I know I've said this before. We've got a spare minute, Andy. I can never, forgive me for repeating this into your ears, I can never see the name of Betis without remembering an incident on a beach in Spain where I was on holiday 15 years ago. I was amazed by a Spanish gentleman who was sat next one down from us, really, on the beach. He was I know what I speak of here. He was a very large piece of humanity, brown as a mahogany sideboard, and when he was sat down, I couldn't see that he had any clothes on, and I thought, this is not a nudist beach. But when he stood up, he had the tiniest pair of green Speedos on. I mean, really, barely enough to cover his modesty. And I would say as a percentage of his body, they were 1%. And then to top it off, he lifted up a large beach towel to head off down to the sea with a huge Betis Sevilla rubber ring that he was going to get into. And it's stuck in my mind ever since. The sight of him going away to me from towards the sea with just a tiny bit of thread of what was a Betis Balompe G-string. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go to my grave unable to think about anything else whenever I see their name. Sorry, everybody. I know it's late at night, but that gentleman is never going to leave my mind. Listen, let's do Stars of the Week now, if we can get the show back on track. I'm going to pick Alberto Moreno for Villarreal, who got 2 goals away at Real Sociedad, including, and this is a theme of tonight's show, a stoppage time winner. They got him from Las Palmas during the close season to replace Jeremy Pino, who's doing so well in London at the moment at Palace. But the real story here, Andy, is that in a tightening league, Villarreal, as you said there, without blinking, are up to 3rd.
Yeah, that's right. They were second before the Real Madrid game. Amazing. But, I think we have to look at just outside that top 4 as well. Betis 5th after their win. 6th, Espanyol, which is an extraordinary story. So my star of the week, Quique Garcia, turned 36 this week, by the way, scored a ton of goals for a not very good Alaves side last season. As soon as he signed for Espanyol, you thought, oh, they're in trouble. They're struggling against relegation here if they're signing old boys like that. Scored the winner away today at Celta to show that he's still got it and to put them into 6th.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Clear your minds of El Hombre Magnifico in his Betis G-string, because next we're going to go to Germany.